La Casa here in San Francisco's Mission District. And I heard, I'm not saying that I don't know much about it, but what I heard and saw uh, on the internet was about these gloves that ICE, Homeland Security, La Migra are going to be using, or I don't know if they're already using them, but they're shock gloves, and I'm sure they're illegal. I don't think you could probably even use them under war laws like the Geneva. I don't know if it's called the Geneva Convention. I don't even think you could use them in war. And they're going to start using them on our raza. At least that's what I understand. They made them. They didn't make them just to put them in a museum. Uh, Saying the word museum takes me back to those museums that are in Mexico, and they're dedicated to the torture of Native Americans of Mexico. And these gloves sure do fit that museum. They would be right in the mix with those torturous acts that they committed against Native Americans of Mexico. I forget what they call those places. They have a name for them. Again, as raza, we're waiting for somebody or something or someone. I've gone to law school, so I think we have one amendment. It's called the Second Amendment, right to bear arms. And all the gringos all the gabachos have guns, they all have guns. And they seem to be okay carrying them. Of course, guns are a big killer in homes. People use them all the time. Pero I don't know what's the next step here for us as raza. I know Becerra's running for governor. That's the closest thing to anything that I can see immediately is November elections here in California. So if you're, I guess, one of those persons that was going to vote for someone else but not your raza, because somewhere your raza has something that you don't like about them, they may have done something somewhere, accepted some bribe or some money. Pues, I don't know if you got a choice. This is it. I know you think we got more. We got another chapter coming up. I don't know what chapter you're waiting for because they're using electric gloves on raza. That means they could electrocute a woman and rape her right there. I don't know what you think that. Where's the wait and see at? I don't know where that's at. I walking down the street and I'm surprised, sometimes when I see people non-raza just act like, they're doing their thing, And I don't know what it's like to be young at this time. I don't know what it's like to be 15, 16, 17 during this time. I know for me, back then, we were getting high and, hanging out and cruising and, writing on walls and stuff and coming home. And for those of us who had parents, we got yelled at or we got scolded, lo que sea. Pero I don't know what it's like right now, I don't know how people are going to act. I just hate to see people feel so vulnerable. Um, there is no army here going to protect us. Um, our own people, our own raza, our police, their Homeland Security, their Migra, their ICE, they're okay with doing what they're doing. Tan zafados, there's something in their head that's not clicking. But again, that's because of our education. We think that we're somehow going to be accepted as being white. And for all those privileged immigrants who come over here um, and decide to be Republicans, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say to you. I don't know how to explain what's going on. If you don't know, then I guess you don't know. Pero it's sad, it's sad to see our raza walk around like they did something wrong, like they're criminals, like they can't smile, like their kids gotta worry about, their parents coming home, or the parents have to worry about the kids coming home. Before my parents probably thought that I might get into a fight, I might, get a broken nose, a broken tooth, bruised eye, and the worst could be shot or stabbed or even put in jail. But now, I hope people ain't still into all that violence on the barrio, because it would be insanity to have that going on while this is happening. And maybe that's the silver lining in all this, is that we can't continue with the programming that they put on us to hate ourselves and fight against each other. And instead of doing that, look out for each other. Because those are our raza, those are our families, that are being hunted down. And we're next, we're next. Any little thing. I haven't driven a freaking car in 2 years. I am glad I haven't driven a car in 2 years, because I would not want to be getting pulled over right now. Well, that's what I wanted to say about that. These gloves, and the simple fact that they elected this dude named Todd Blanche as Attorney General. And it makes sense, because everybody who voted for him thinks that he's going to not put charges on him. Because if we had somebody who was an Attorney General, that person, and in our favor of La Raza or people of color, they would go straight after all those people who voted for this Todd Blanche guy. So I don't know where this is going to end, because they got everything covered. They fired all the election people. Ay, café de Oaxaca. Ay, caramba. They fired the election people, and they fired the statistics people. All those agencies that had to do with accountability, that shows that things were not right, they fired those people. So now we don't know what's going on. Nobody knows anything about what's happening, except the ones that are making all the problemas. And I was thinking the other day, I was writing in my journal, and I was connecting the dots, that este blanquillo, this gabacho, this white man in the president's office, well, pues siempre han sido blancos. Pero this in particular guy, he is the American dream. He's a white boy, son of immigrant parents, who made it in in this land, in this country. And he, you know, after all he did, he continues to be able to do more, you know. And we hear one attorney talking about they have him, you know, they're going to subpoena this guy, they're going to do this to that guy, this person's going to jail, this lady, you know, Kathleen Levitt is leaving the press secretary position. All of these different things are happening. Oh, Mitch McConnell's dead. Oh, this other dude is dead. And we're thinking, oh, shoot, we're going to be able to breathe. But right when they say that, right when that happens, they pull out shit like these gloves. They're not stopping. They're going, who in the hell invented these fucking gloves? Who thought it was a good idea for these people to wear gloves out there that can electrocute people? I mean, it's just so inhumane. It's just like it goes over the fucking limit of what, you know, a human being could do to another human being. You ain't gotta fucking shoot, electrocute, imprison an immigrant. You don't gotta do that, you know? And my parents were immigrants, are immigrants, were immigrants, you know? And my grandfather came as a bracero. Later on, brought my dad over because my grandma couldn't take care of them. Pero they were invited. The braceros were invited over here, you know, and that's just the beginning. You know, this land here, California, is native land, and then the Spanish claimed it, and then the Mexicans took it from the Spanish, and then now it's the United States. Yet we are the majority of people here in this state of California. In the Southwest, I probably think we're the majority of people here. ¿Dónde voy con esto? Where am I going with all this? Well, Becerra is going to be running, or is running, for governor. I haven't seen anything about what anything is doing. Not a good sign. I would hope that he would already be out there campaigning and we would see his names and everywhere and we would have some hope. And, you know, if worse comes to worse, California, like I mentioned, has the majority Latino population. In the 2010 census, when I was doing radio, I was talking about 8 to 12 million Latinos in Los Angeles County alone. And Latinos at that time in 2010 were roughly, I'm going to lowball it, right? 37 to 45% the population of California. 37 to 45%. The gabachos, the gringos, are out. As terms of people of color versus them, they're not the majority anymore. I don't know what the equivalent of being gringo means. I don't know what they are. Like, maybe we are because we're Caucasians as Latinos. We're supposed to be Caucasians. My understanding is when you have this population, those populations get a certain amount of money to those types of communities for different programs to fit those communities. That's something like that. I'm not that man to know that knows all that. And except in California, we are the majority, Latinos, Salvadoreños, Mexicanos, Guatemaltecos, Nicaraguenses, Costarricenses, South Americans, Bolivians, Colombians, todo. Doesn't mean that we all vote the same, but we are the majority here. We are. Yet our representation in the big mix of things, like our representation in ¿cómo se dice? In government, you know, it's not high as it should be, being that we are the majority. again, it makes us feel like we're just, these field hands working for this government, right? If when we are not represented. Becerra seems to have a strong possibility of winning. I mean, I would say he's going to win. Pero ya sabes, con toda esta, stuff going on, they could change that easy. So we gotta, get Becerra in there and then vote for our, Latino council members. Like I said, not all people of color believe in, raza politics, but because, a lot of people don't have time for raza politics. Sometimes, we just go with the flow and we try to be safe, but there is no safe anymore. There is no safe. Even if you're abuela and you believe Republican, abuela, ya estuvo, that didn't work. That doesn't work. That ain't gonna work. That won't work. Being Republican just to satisfy, this idea that your kids, us, are gonna become gringos. No. That's done. I hope that's done in the minds of people that thinking that, they're gonna end up somehow being excused because they married a gringo, a gringa, that their kids are going to live a better life. I have examples, but I'm not going to trash anybody. And again, it's just, again, it's a matter of when you do danza azteca, you open up a door. For me, that door was to go into like these different kinds of communities, native communities, and learn about different laws and learn about different myths and legends and ceremonies and songs and the way of being. How different groups act and live. And that was what danza did for me. It opened up a lot of those roads. And I got to see Mexico, not profundo, pero I got to see a bit of Mexico. I don't live there. I've lived here on this street pretty much for the last 51 years, here on this street, this area. On this street right here, on this house, 49 years. So I've lived more than that. I don't get my math. I lived over there on Hampshire for about 6 years, 5 years. And then in Woodlake, California for about 5 years. I don't think I'm that old. Oh yeah, I am that old. So 55 years already here in San Francisco in this area. So anyways, ¿qué vamos a hacer? I don't know. I don't think that's my decision, pero I could have just sat down and watched TV. I could have just sat down and doodled on a paper, or put the radio on, I don't know. I could have done many things, but I wanted to talk to you about what's going on. So with that said, hopefully I said something. Me desahogué, pero. All right.